you know they say that thing, there's many ways to skin a cat. Like everybody knows that saying. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Why does everybody know that saying? Who the fuck is out skinning cats? Is that an old thing that we used to do as American? Cat skinning. But I guess this is another way to skin a cat. And away we go.
You're listening to Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience, featuring
Mr. Stone Gossard. Gentlemen! Mama Queen! Matt fucking Cameron in the drum. Mr. Boom Gasper! You can call me Al, you can call me Ed, you just fucking call me, why don't you?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live on Four Legs, the definitive live Pearl Jam podcast. Randy Sobel here, and our co-host over there, Chris Buckley, today.
Hello, hello.
Well, what's going on, Buck?
Not much. I feel like I'm back to normal. I mean, the last time I hosted, we did the January '92 show in Seattle's Moore Theater. It was just me and John, and that was when a couple weeks ago, and you were off at your wedding. How dare you? So
I know. How could I leave my podcast for my wedding?
How could you?
Priorities there.
Obviously, we sent our congratulations to you, and it's just back to normal now. It seems like.
It is.
But John and I had a great time, and definitely looking forward to doing another show with him as well. But you were obviously the first person that I had been on the show with as a guest a while back, so now we're back to normal. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, hey, you know what? It's great to be back. Obviously, I seem to be the linchpin in all this, but I love it I love that episode. I loved listening to you guys and listening, because I'm just as much of a nerd as anybody else. I love listening to this show when I'm not editing it or working on it. I like the idea behind it. I'm just as much of a fan as anybody else is listening to it.
Sure.
So hearing you guys talk about that sort of stuff made me excited. So hopefully in the future, I know John wants to do an episode with Matt. That sort of that's in the books, written in pencil right now. We'll see what happens with it. But there will be some episodes in the future that I won't be on, that I'll take a back seat. I'll edit. I'll do what I got to do, but you know what? I'm interested. I want to see what you guys got to do. I think that was a fun episode. I want to see that stuff again.
Well, that's awesome,
especially the early stuff. So
yeah, it was the earliest show we'd ever done. Only Seattle show thus far. Right?
Yep, that's true. Well, technically our Revolt show, Easy Street.
Okay, fair enough.
We recorded that back in April, and that has not made any appearances.
Okay, so it's the only Seattle show that has seen the light of day. How's that?
That is very yep.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah, it is not the last Seattle show. That's for damn sure.
No,
we got a lot to do there. So before we get into doing the MSG show, let's talk about Patreon real quick. If you guys want more of the podcast, want to contribute to the podcast, help us out, like what you're listening to, head on over to patreon.com/liveonfourlegs. Contribute any amount. It could be $1, it could be $2, it could be $3, whatever it is. We appreciate your donation, and everything goes back into helping out the podcast. If there is a tour coming in 2020, and we're crossing our fingers, we're crossing our toes, then we are going to put a lot of that, a lot of your donations into meetups and merch giveaways and things like that. So it all kind of goes back into giving back to you guys. And Buckley, tell us what else you can get from joining Patreon.
Well, along with everything you just said, Randy, if anyone out there, any of our faithful listeners want to contribute some money to the podcast, listen, it helps us keep it going, helps us continue to bring you shows week after week. And hey, you can come on the show, pick your own show, tell us whatever performance you want to come on the show and talk about. We'll listen to it. We'll get neck deep, dive into it, and figure out everything that makes that show so important to you. And you can come on and talk with me or John or Randy or maybe Matt. Who knows?
John will fight you.
John will fight me. John will fight me. He'll fight you. He'll fight anyone.
He'll fight anybody. He will fight anybody.
So just tell us if you're a contributor, you're a donator. If you want to come on the show, let us know. And it's a lot of exclusive content there as well that you can go and seek out and discover on our Patreon. So please continue to listen and donate.
Right now, we actually have a new Evolution episode. State of Love and Trust is up there. Both of us did that, and you should be able to see that up there if you're in and subscribe to Patreon. You can listen to our 4th Evolution episode, State of Love and Trust, and we should have more of those in the future. And again, we mentioned on a past episode that it is a future investment because starting January, we have a new series that we're doing for it, and we're really excited about it. So can't tell you what it is now, just a little hint. It is part of something that Pearl Jam has done consistently throughout the years.
Ooh.
So that's all I can say.
Exciting stuff.
That's all I can say. But if you're a patron or not a patron and want to get in touch with the show, liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what your favorite shows are, what shows you want to hear, what shows you have stories for. We're open to every request. We just want to hear from you guys. We're going to hear that today. Maybe we won't talk about it for that long, but it'll be a mention. We are open to all requests and anything that you want to contribute to the show. It's highly appreciated, and we're obviously on all the social medias. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all there at Live on Four Legs Podcast. You search Live on Four Legs. There's no other thing called Live on Four Legs. So,
one and only.
There you go. That's it. That's who he is. All right. MSG Night 2, 2010. This is very significant for both of us. We were both in attendance. This was your first show.
It was.
This was my 5th. And this was also the third of the last of 3 that I was doing in the Backspacer tour. So, I had gotten a couple under my belt, including the night prior. But your first show, I mean, everybody that comes on the show, a lot of the patrons that do come on, they will pick their first one, and because it's always special to them. It's always, that experience that they go back to. So talk about it a little bit. Your first show, how'd you get there? What was going through your head? How big of a fan were you? Let's start from the bottom.
Sure. All right. So in 2010, in May of 2010, so I'm born in July of 94, so I'm only 15 at this point, going on 16. Pretty big.
You were 6 months old when Vitalogy came out.
Yes. So
I had to bring it up.
Right. So my uncle is a big music fan. Comes to me and says, "Hey, I want to get you something for your birthday, but do you want to go somewhere, do something instead of just me trying to find something to buy you, like an item?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, whatever you want to do." He's like, "Well, Pearl Jam's playing in New York City at the Garden in a couple weeks, and this is early May, late April, early May." He says, "You want to go?" I'm like, "Okay." And at this time, my music choice was pretty. I hadn't really branched out. I was listening to a lot of what my parents were listening to. I mean, I'm talking Billy Joel and Tom Jones and Frank Sinatra. Then Guitar Hero comes out. I'm starting to listen to a lot more classic rock. I was big into Aerosmith at first. So at this point, my musical taste is expanding, but not nearly. I mean, not even close, obviously, to where it is now. And obviously, I'm still young, so I'm only 15, whatever.
I was going to guess that you were Blink-182.
No, definitely not. Right. Yeah, definitely not. So anyway, to make this part of the story short, we get the tickets, we go to the show. I don't know what to expect. I mean, I'm excited to go to a show, to be going to the Garden. I always liked going to the city. Of course, I work in the city now, so now I dread going in the city every day, having to go on the Long Island Railroad every day, but that's another story. Anyway, we grabbed some dinner before the show. I remember it was a Friday. right? Yeah, it's Friday night because that's what Eddie says. He goes
Friday night,
live from New York. It's Friday night.
It's Friday. Yep.
And we go to the show, and again, I don't really know what to expect. Now, I guess to try to prepare for the show as best I could, I kind of wanted to know some songs, just going in. And my knowledge of Pearl Jam to this point, you have to understand, like, my perception of this entire show, this entire bootleg, everything, it is very different from when I saw it in real time to now, looking back. I have a very, very different perception and understanding and appreciation for the songs, the performances, the band itself, etc. So I'm going into this completely not knowing anything what to expect other than my uncle telling me that he saw them at Randall's Island in 1996, September 29th, I think it was, of 96, in the pouring rain. So many locals, New Yorkers, Long Islanders were at that show and can tell you all the stories.
Like 5 to 10 people,
right?
That was their debut.
Exactly. So that was his as well. He loved it. He's been a fan ever since. We've gone on to see we went to the PJ 20 festival together. We went to see them at Wrigley in 2013. We were there at Barclay Center in 2013. We were there together at the Garden in 2016, etc. So he's like been like my Pearl Jam buddy for quite a while. So with this show, again, not to sound like a broken record, I have nothing in my head going into this show except for like Even Flow, which I remembered hearing at like, and I said this actually in the More Theater show to John, how that was the first song I really had come to know from going to like Islander games and then playing like Guitar Hero 3, hearing it in arenas as like warm-up songs for sporting events. So I try to listen to some stuff. I was like, what should I do? Like, if I want to listen to, like, he's like, well, just listen to 10. I'm like, okay. So I listened to it a couple times. It didn't really grab me right away. I had known Alive a little bit, Jeremy, Black, Even Flow. So really those four and maybe like Better Man at this point are the only songs I really know. And as you could see as we go through this set, very few of those songs are actually played, and almost nothing in the entire show do I know at the time as I'm watching it. But that concert is what has made me become the fan that I am today. Completely, not to sound overly dramatic, but it's the truth, completely changed my life, completely changed my appreciation of music, my understanding of music, of just loving to go to concerts, to see live music in any capacity, transformed my life, my outlook on so many things. And immediately, as soon as that show was done, I was hooked. I was completely hooked. Went home over the next few months, completely engulfed myself in as much Pearl Jam as I possibly could, was learning the history, watching YouTube clips, reading old reviews of concerts and album reviews and band interviews online, and just completely immersed myself in the Pearl Jam world as quickly as I could, all because this show was truly that incredible. And again, even though I didn't know anything, just looking around at the crowd, feeling the energy in MSG, the stage shaking, and just the sound and Eddie's voice and just the whole thing. I mean, everybody remembers their first show, and I guess a lot of people can relate, obviously, to what I'm saying. So it's something that you have to really experience to understand. As you know, as every other fan knows, that first show will always stand out in your mind. It was
100%.
Again, a night that just changed everything for me, and I can never thank my uncle enough for making that recommendation and that suggestion that we go see this band that at that time, again, couldn't have told you more than like 2 to 3 songs until I did some research. And now I could tell you what date they played Rats for the first time, and what they played, when they played, how many times they played Sweet Lou, and it's,
well, that's easy.
You become obsessed.
Fingers.
Exactly. So you become obsessed, and this was the jumping off point into the Pearl Jam abyss that I continue to fall through. So
Yeah, I mean that's quite a story. I can't think of a better way to get engulfed into this band and then just throwing yourself into the fire, experiencing it and seeing everybody else experience it. Like it's so much different than just putting on an iPod and listening to Even Flow or listening to it live and sort of dissecting whether or not you like the song. You were able to feel the songs and listen to them at the same time. So
exactly,
it's such an important facet to have.
Like one of the most important things is just from the get-go, from the jump, there's this appreciation of the live element of the band. You know what I mean? Like just this understanding and appreciation and to be in awe of them in person, to actually watch them perform. And I've said this to myself and other people, fans and things. I just wish so badly that I had the appreciation for this show when I saw it in person as I do now, looking back on it, because there's so many moments and so many things going on in this show that as fans now, just listening to it, if you've never heard the bootleg, you could go listen to this bootleg right now. You'd be like, wow, this is friggin' awesome. This is amazing. It just doesn't compare. It compares to so few other shows that I've been to, that I've listened to. It is top notch from start to finish in the rarities, the performance, everything. Everything is...
No offense, no, bias notwithstanding.
Of course we sound biased, of course.
It's in New York City. It's Madison Square Garden. I mean, these things are really important facets. If this show, and I've told people this before, if this same show was in Fayetteville, Arkansas, no one would care. Why? Sorry if you're from Arkansas, but it's just not... It's not the same.
There's a quote on the side. There's a quote on the side of the Garden with Eddie's face, and it says, "You ain't nothing till you play Madison Square Garden."
But that wasn't the actual quote. The actual quote was, "You ain't shit until you."
Right, but they're not going to put that on the side. So you know what I'm saying. Yeah, you ain't shit.
I know. I just had to bring it up.
So, needless to say, they appreciated the moment. They understood the situation they were in, and man, did they deliver. They changed one person's life, so I can tell you that.
I think they changed many people's lives. I mean, like I was already well within my fandom at the time. I was 2 shows in that we've both covered both of those shows in our archives: the Hartford of 2010 and the last MSG, the MSG Night 1 the night before that. So I was really prepared for this one, and I wasn't originally supposed to go to this, or I didn't have tickets at first. I got a little lucky. So Steve Maytan, brother Steve, he's been on the show before. It's been a while. We're gonna have Steve back on at some point, I'm sure. He was the one that actually got the tickets for me for the show. So I go into the city around 11 a.m. He has to go to a wedding, so he goes into the city, then takes a train to whatever wedding he goes to, and he has to pick up the tickets because of the 10 Club membership. So he has to pick them up at will call. He gives them to me. And I remember I go and I walk up, I see him, and he's just looking down at the tickets. He's staring at the tickets, and he's shaking his head. And I'm like, what's going on? Did he get fakes or what's happening? So I go up to him. He, in true Steve fashion, he gives me the biggest bear hug, and he says, "You beautiful bastard, you're going to have a wonderful time. You're on the floor." I'm
wow.
Like, what the fuck? Oh, my God.
That'll throw you for a loop.
Yeah, I hadn't been on the floor before,
Right.
The 4 shows that I've been to, I've been on the sides, I've been, somewhere in the back, not behind the stage, but, center back. I had never been on the floor before, so it was I looked at the stub today, section 7, row E, seat 4, on top of the frickin' world. And, my brother was going to the show with me, and, this was his first ever Pearl Jam show. It wasn't supposed, so there was supposed to be a show that he was supposed to go to in 1992, a Lollapalooza at Jones Beach that got canceled because of rain.
Yep.
So he waited almost 20 years before he got to see them, and I don't know if something about me becoming a bigger fan. You know, he's into Fish, he's into the Dead, he's into
jam
Bruce,
bands,
he's
sure.
into Tom Petty. You wouldn't look at him and think he's a jam band guy, but that's just what he's into. He was into Pearl Jam. He loved Pearl Jam, and I think maybe some of my discovery of it kind of rubbed off on him, so I think this was really exciting for him. This was
You had re-inspired him, so to speak.
I think so, yeah, because I mean he was into Versus and 10 and all that stuff, but I don't know how much he was picking up on Binaural or Yield or Riot Act. So you know, after that, he listens to the Sirius station to this day, so he's still following up as much as he can. So
Sure.
Poster time. I think we got to talk about the poster.
The Holy Grail.
So you didn't know? I'm gonna guess. Did your uncle know or?
No, I did not know. I, however, do have the first shirt I ever got from them, which was a black T-shirt with like an atomic bomb looking thing on the front.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a very like cartoonishly written Pearl Jam
like blocky
on the
text?
front. No,
Okay.
thin. It's very thin. It was around in 2010. I've seen other people have it at concerts
Yeah.
before. However, I think you knew this. I do have the poster.
You do.
I do.
Okay.
But not from the show.
How'd you acquire it?
That night? I actually got it from my dad as a birthday gift, like 2 to 3 years later. Now, this was probably had to be before it really skyrocketed in value. So I think he got it for maybe like $200 or $300.
Wow.
But he obviously knew at this point I had gone to PJ20 and I went to Philadelphia for Me in America. I was traveling at this point to go to the shows. So he understood how obsessed I was with them. So as a birthday gift, my parents got this for me, and I don't remember exactly how much they paid. I think my dad maybe paid like $250 or $275
compared to what it is now
at the time, which I am ashamed to say it is still in the tube. I am ashamed to say that.
That's a tough one to touch. I honestly, I don't want to admit what I've done to mine, but I do have it. And the way I got it, so my brother and I split up, and I look at the line. I'm like, Jay, I'm going to go find a way to get this poster. And he's like, go for it. I'm going to go get something to drink. Great. All right. He doesn't care. So I go down the line. I'm like 23, 24 years old, whatever, however old I am. And I have like no shame at the time. I'll talk to people. I'll be like, can I cut? Can I get, what can I do? And then I start talking to these girls that are just standing there. And I talk, I'm like, so, can I get in line? What, can I get in with you guys, or can you get me something? And they're like, no. And there's one girl, she's like, oh, I'm just standing with them. I'm like, all right, well, how about I give you $10 and I take your spot? And she's like, okay, deal.
There you go.
Yeah, it was like,
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, it was like 7 people. I mean, great future investment. But it was like 7 people to the register, and there I am, and I get this poster. And I mean, I didn't get the night one poster, so I knew I had to get this.
You didn't miss much on the first night poster.
I know it's kind of the Pikachu poster,
more sentimental than anything, I guess.
Right, but this one was the biggie. Donkey Kong.
It's awesome. Just outside of the value to me and you as having been at the show, but especially for me as my first show, it's an amazing poster.
Yeah.
If anyone is listening to this and you don't know the poster, which if you're listening to this, you definitely do, but you understand how amazing it is. Right? Yes, Ames Bros. Yeah. With it's designed like Donkey Kong, but it's also got like the Galaga ships on it. And like Mario and the taxis, and the date is the score at the top. It's it's just so cool.
It really is.
It's so cool. I love it. I absolutely love the design. It's everything about it is so cool. I'm so upset. I am like getting myself angry that I don't have it framed up on the wall somewhere.
All right, man, we're gonna go into this, and there's gonna be a lot of stuff here. And we're just going to take it all in. We're just really going to enjoy it. Like we're going to be back sitting in our seats at this show. And there's not really much more to say than, and away
we go.
Corduroy to open this up. Ed says that classic line beforehand, the away we go, and that's how we've started the show since day one. I made sure that, that was going to be the intro to the show because it has such an impact on me, when you think about it. And I always thought about this version of Corduroy and just how much energy they had to the stage. Song number one, and you're expecting, I don't know what you're expecting, but I'm expecting Release, yeah. Long Road, something along those lines. I think the night before they did Sometimes. So I'm not expecting them to bust out of the gate with their anthem, and they do. And it's just, the crowd is glowing with passion like you've never seen it before.
Right.
It just
See, again, I'm just going to reiterate again, like your perception of this will be a lot more relatable to how I would feel now and how everyone listening to this would feel now. So I can only give you, the perspective of not knowing anything, which in itself is unique, I suppose.
Of course, yeah.
But and like you said, I had no idea what to expect. No idea. I mean, I'm just there taking it all in, soaking it all in, just excited to be there at a concert. And I mean, I could just tell, like you said, the energy from the start, especially just among the crowd. Like everybody was just so ready for them to come out. Like I remember sitting through Band of Horses to open, and it was like, okay, whatever. Right, they're fine. It's all right. Whatever. It was good enough to keep everybody occupied before PJ comes out. But as soon as they come out, it's like I can immediately feel like this wave of change of whatever, like something takes over the crowd, and it's the same kind of feeling that you get to this day as a fan for every show. Absolutely. And feeling that for the first time was incredible. So I definitely agree with you.
I say it on the show every single time that we talk about a show that I've been to, or even whenever we get Corduroy, that Corduroy is the moment that makes you feel like, wow, I'm at a Pearl Jam show, because you know that they're going to do it early. It has that like welcoming feel to it. And it brings you to this very happy, special place where, you know all the lyrics, you can dance to it, you can jump around, and exactly, the little things like, peace, man, like that kind of stuff, And
this is the old style too. There's no extended breakdown after the chorus or for the bridge. There's no extended bridge, and it makes it so good that it's the most perfect version. Straight up Corduroy. Ed sounds, and we said this before, just for every evaluation of these songs and for all the clips you're going to hear, Eddie sounds perfect.
Magnificent.
Perfect.
Like it was the first.
Best.
Yeah.
The best, and I, again, say this maybe sounding a little biased, I don't really care. It has to be the best all-around performance, Eddie vocal performance of any bootleg or of any show that I've ever seen or listened to. All together. Everything considered. The entire show, front to back, start to finish. Every performance, like if I had to, grade all of the performances one by one and then add up and give a score at the end, this would be number one.
Look,
hands down.
Not to spoil anything, but at some point in the next month or two, we're going to be setting up a little vote for the decade's best Pearl Jam shows, and I'll be damned if this is not in the top 10. This is going to be in the top 10. It's
criminal if it's not.
Right, and we're going to leave it up to the fans to vote for it, and I trust you guys. I trust you not to pick all 5 Wrigley shows.
And it's the kind of show, like you'll see people that were not at the show, people that were not in attendance are sharing it, or they talk about it and say, people that will say, oh, what's a good boot? I have a bootleg coupon code. What should I get? Well, do you have 52110? You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's a bootleg, a show that people are still very, very much are listening to. It's a classic. Yeah. I mean, it's a classic now, years later, and understanding, the importance of it as someone that at this age now that I'm at, and all the shows and understanding with being the kind of fan that I've become, I understand how big of a show this was.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think, I can't leave Corduroy off without mentioning that towards the end, the stage has to be rocking here.
I can feel it! Let me feel it!
It's the first freaking song in, and the stage is rocking. Come on! Oh, and it sets you up for such an amazing stretch here to begin this show that's so powerful, so energetic. Fucking hail to come right after Corduroy.
Well, yeah, I was going to say we might as well just go through the first 5, right? Because, just quick, bang them all out because there's no talking.
Right.
Eddie doesn't stop.
Hail.
So it's Corduroy, Hail.
Evolution, Worldwide Suicide. And Got Some. And Hail, look, this is the top 5 song for me at the time. I haven't gotten it live yet. I was fucking flipping. I loved every minute of this. I was like, wow, this already 2 songs in. I'm like, this could be the best show that I'll ever see. And again, during this version of Hail. Evolution. These are the heavy hitters.
Really good. And this is at the point where his voice, where he could still consistently do the howl.
Yeah.
He nails it.
He does.
Nails it. I mean, imagine, again, this is like your first show, and I'm sitting there, and it's like right out of the gate, you get these. I mean, even like Got Some's like, whatever. Even now, I'm like, all right, whatever. Got Some's got some. But the first 4, Corduroy, Hail, Evolution, Worldwide Suicide. It's like sitting there watching. They're really standing there, I guess, at this point, watching this.
You're not sitting
taking this all in. Yeah, no, it's everybody's standing at this point, or otherwise, now, mind you, and I didn't say this before. My seat was terrible. I'm all the way on the opposite side of the garden. Facing the stage. So at least I wasn't behind the stage, but all the way on the other side, not the top level, but the one beneath it, but like the first or second to last row. Like the last row or the second to last row.
Pretty steep, yeah.
So the entire show, I'm kind of like looking underneath the overhang of the level above me, through these people that were in front of me. There was like a couple that definitely were older. They had to be in like their mid-late 50s, maybe even like early 60s, and they were passing joints back the whole time. And the guy was wearing a denim jacket and denim jeans. It was weird. It was like he was like straight out of the 80s. It was bizarre. But they were like smoking the whole time, and it was like, we're just kind of like sitting there, like there's like smoke everywhere, and it's like everyone's dancing and jumping around and like people screaming. Like I'm looking around at people's faces, and everyone is just like completely enamored and engulfed in every note, in every lyric, every word that Eddie is screaming. People are just completely mesmerized by it, and it was mind-blowing to me. I'd never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah.
So, and especially again with these first 4, I mean, you talk about busting out of the gate.
I know. And Evolution, you think about the history of the garden and Evolution.
Yep.
That's the stage shaking song right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that's like, I don't know if it's their intention, but I wonder if it's on his mind, like, let's come out firing out the gate and let's try to see what we can do to this place. Can we
100%.
bring that energy that we had from last night, that we've had from the past 5 garden shows that we've done? 5 garden shows. At this point, it was 7 garden shows. I'm 2 years off. But man, you remember that the Hallelujah chorus where he's screaming.
I'm a thief! I'm alive! Right in the garden, they're singing the glory song! The
energy, it's unbelievable. You can listen to the boot and feel like you're back sitting in the seat. It's one of very few shows that I can separate myself and really dive back in and, remember that moment being at the show instead of me sitting in my chair at my desk. I'm at this show when I listen to this show for sure. Ed does the live from New York. It's Friday night and says hi to everybody in the back and in the air. There's
some people that are very high in the back.
Exactly, right in front of you. In the back.
Really, seriously.
So
Can I just make one quick little point? Just something I'm just like noticing as I'm looking at these first 5 songs.
Go for it.
Their chronological order: Vitalogy, No Code, Yield, Avocado, Backspacer.
Interesting.
That is weird.
Never picked up on that. Huh.
Yeah.
And then and
then we get a little break.
You get it.
After Got Some.
Yep. He says that last night they raised the roof, but we could do it even harder tonight. And that gets us into 6th song of the night. Okay, so this one is dedicated to Steve. The day before, we were all hanging out at the before the show, and Steve was like, "God damn it, I really want to go to the other show. I need to hear Breath." That's all he kept saying, and I'm still like, I'm not a novice Pearl Jam fan, but I'm like, intermediate to like, junior sort of. I'm up there, but I'm not where I am today, which is like, at least
obsessed.
At least a middle,
like the rest of us.
Right. Okay, fine. I was always obsessed.
Don't deny it. Just embrace it. It's fine.
No, I was always obsessed. But at the time, the way I knew Breath was through the 10 Redux. So I knew it as Breath and a Scream. I'd never seen singles. I wasn't digging into the history much outside of like, the albums.
I gotcha.
So I texted him during this, and I said, "Hey, you wanted to hear Breath and a Scream, right?" And he responds all caps, and he says, "Motherfucker, they played Breath. It's not even 9 o'clock yet." And so I've learned from this day forward, I've learned not to call it Breath and a Scream. So
yes,
but man, to get this early in the set, like this is another, with the history of this song in this arena, this is another real special moment. I think people are getting flashbacks here for this one.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Back to, there are people that have been to all 10 Garden shows, and they remember.
It was 98, right?
98, and they remember the signs, and we covered it on the show before. And
we give, and you just fucking want more. Yep. And you know what? You deserve it.
You deserve it, exactly. And we definitely deserved it that night. It sounded great, and you know what? It's in a spot that
you know what? I will say this is his. As far as I can remember, lyrically, his only flub. He messes up the first verse.
I noticed that. Yeah. I don't
Which
know
is actually common in Breath.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was a real flub or if he was just trying to change the lyrics to something else.
I think it was a flub.
It was a flub.
It sounds like a flub to me, to my ear.
Okay. But, you know what? I give Eddie a pass because this is a flawless,
it doesn't matter.
Flawless show regardless. I was going to say at the top of the show, I completely forgot to mention it, that it was going to be the first show that we'd ever rate the show before covering it, and
it's a 10.
Throwing it out there. Yeah, this is a perfect 10 for both of us. So we'll skip by that segment. That'll save you some time.
Yes.
This is a 10, and again, you'll see why in a matter of moments. Ed gets back on the mic and says, we played Hartford a week ago, and, that gets a little woo from me, being at that show, and he said the Hartford crowd sang the shit out of this one. Damn right we did. So the bar's been raised, make a campfire out of it, and here's Nothing Man. Nothing Man is the equivalent to the elderly woman that was the night before this. The sing-along, the entire crowd.
Acoustic.
Yep, just being able to look around the room and seeing everybody do all the calls to action,
She don't want him. She won't be there after he's blown away. Into the sun. Yeah.
oh man, is that a goosebump moment or what?
Yeah, there were a couple moments throughout the show where I just found myself repeatedly just looking around at people. Partially, I guess, because I could barely see the stage, so that's part of it, but also just trying to soak in other people's reactions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to kind of gauge and understand what was making and making these people tick and making them act and sing and dance the way that they were. This was one of those moments. I can remember, yes, like the lights go up, in the Into the Sun part, and it just kind of shines over the entire crowd, and everybody's hands are in the air, and it was like some sort of weird cult. I'm very proud to be part of at this point.
It's a religion where you don't have to believe in anything but the music being played.
The only rule is don't be an asshole.
That's 100% true. This is like...
So yeah, top-notch performance.
Yeah,
very good.
They're at the top of their game. It sounds just a rich and beautiful performance of this. And then he gets back on the mic, and honestly, this is the last time he's going to talk for a real long time here.
Yes.
And he said the last time, they did play the song in Germany once.
I was saying, Into the Sun. It's this big outdoor stadium in Germany. Into the sun. And everyone had their hands up, and I realized, oh, fuck. It's the first time I've done it since. I was kind of put off from doing that for a long time.
I mean, it's classic. It's classic Ed. He's able
just
to make
funny.
fun of himself. Yeah, it's a good time. Does a little talking here about, who in the group went to college. Matt worked at Kinko's, and Ed says, stay in school, don't smoke pot, listen to your parents unless they're politician, Republican, or both. And Ed kind of talks about how, he didn't graduate high school, but, says, oh, how did I get to be so otherworldly? I'm like, well, that's interesting you would say that about yourself, but yes, he is, sure. And he said he got it from talking to other people, and one of those people, Howard Zinn, and reading up on him, and he dedicates the next one to him, which I guess is it's both. It's both I'm Open and Unthought Known, I guess. Or is it just I'm Open?
No, it would just be I'm Open.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
I guess you could consider it like a tag, like a segue.
Right.
I don't know, kind of like an Interstellar overdrive into Corduroy kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's essentially what I was thinking. Most of the times that I've seen I'm Open in a set list, it's been before Wish List, but I get it here. It makes sense. It's fine. What's interesting to get into here is just no even flow. This is the even flow spot, the section.
Yep.
They do it the night before, but here, no even flow. You get all in a row without stopping here. I'm open, unthought, known, and we'll talk about some of these as we go. Grievance, Amongst the Waves, Present Tense, Not For You, Push Me, Pull Me, and Rats. And there's like barely a water break in between Push Me, Pull Me, and Rats. And that's it. That's, bam, all hitting you at the same time. I wrote during Not For You, I said, it's just an assembly line of rock and roll awesomeness. No stop signs, no speed limits, nobody gonna slow us down. It was just so kick-ass. Everything.
It is.
Everything in this section. And some of these you don't get in sets very often. Like, Present Tense is considered, semi-uncommon. Grievance is pretty uncommon. Push Me, Pull Me is the one.
I had a false belief, I thought we came to this thing. But we're all just visiting, we're all just breaking lines with it. The oceans made me, but who the fuck came up with love? Well, push me, and pull me out. Push me, pull me, push me, pull me, push me, pull me. So there were no angels, would there be no sin? Although let me stop, if I stop, I won't know where not to begin. So everybody say above the head, rearrange a little soul, a spacious hole in the ground. Make it nice, somewhere nice, where the land meets my town. Push me, pull me, push me, pull me, push me, pull me, push me, pull me. Push me, pull me, push me, pull me, push me, pull me.
I had no idea what the fuck it was during the verse, because it's one of those songs, it's very few that it's completely different sounding from what they do on the album and what they do live. And
Well, yeah, because there's all these effects and sound things
it
going
has that
on the
poetry
album.
vibe to it, yeah. So I had no
Jeff's
idea.
bass is so prominent in this performance too, which is
Love it.
awesome.
Love it. I love the sound of this. And you can hear, like, midway through the first verse, like, the crowd sort of picks up on it. You hear that audible, oh, like that kind of, it's kind of like during the second line of that verse. And I don't know if I picked up on it until they got to the chorus. And I'm like, wait a minute. Really? They're doing Push Me, Pull Me? I thought that this would be a song that they would never do live. I would never expect them to ever have done it. Like, this was going to be Whale Song for me.
Or like Bugs, but
Yeah.
no, they already played Bugs once at that. But you know what I'm saying?
That one,
yeah,
years,
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, I think they were bringing this back a little bit. Its total play count, you're on the page. I was
What, Rats?
No, go to
Push Me, Pull Me, 13.
13. So 13 total times. We've
This
both
was
seen it twice.
shockingly, this was the fifth. They've played it 8 times since, which is bizarre.
And we've both seen it one other time. That's insane.
Yeah, what was that? PJ20, right?
PJ20, yep. But I think it was only played 3 times on the Yield Tour, so, like, everybody's reaction is genuine. That,
I mean, listen,
really,
it's a
they've
cool
never-
song, but
Yeah, and
it's not. It's no, whatever, giving a fly off Yield.
no, of course
what I mean?
not. But it's exciting when you get something that
Oh.
it's already part of something that feels special. It's
If
just,
only I would have known.
it's just this
If I had
little-
known then what I know now, Randy.
I know, but hey, you were able to appreciate it a year later, right?
This is true.
So sometimes you get a second chance. You get second chances here. I
Accurate.
felt like that with Present Tense, that I didn't really know the first time I saw Present Tense. I didn't really know it as well. And this show, I was ready for it. I was so into it. I was pumped to hear it. That was my bounce back for that. So Rats, MSG,
I love
New York
Rats.
City. I love Rats too.
They play Rats a lot in New York. They played it
All the time.
Here, they played it at Barclays Night 2.
Yep.
And then they played it in
Night-
MSG in 2016.
Night 1, 2016.
Night 1.
Yeah.
They like playing Rats Here,
And
which I guess has to do with the subway.
The first show that I went to in 2008, they played at that show too.
There you go.
So on to Daughter. As far as like radio hits go, this is the second of the like prominent radio hits that we've heard since Evolution. There's really no other. There's no Even Flow. There's no Better Man in this part. There's no Jeremy. This is the second radio hit that we've gotten, and it's like at the end of the set.
They still, at this point, have not played a song off 10.
Jesus, you're right.
Breath was the only one, even from the early days.
Oh.
I'm talking 10 era.
Oh God,
Isn't that insane? Think about that.
Played a total of how many from 10? Like 4?
How about this? They only played one song off 10 in the entire first set.
And that's the last one.
Yep.
So you're thinking at this point
And how about? Wait a minute. Wait, it gets even better. The first encore, no 10.
So it's Why Go
No 10.
Black and Alive.
That's it.
That's it. Holy.
And I only knew Black and Alive and Better Man.
Wow. I didn't even put it in that perspective.
Right?
Unbelievable.
Just, I mean, it's a testament to them.
Yeah.
And just how on fire they were that night. But really, like, imagine if they did that now. Like, if they could just do something like that now, if it was something like this was more common, where they could just not have to play something from 10 or whatever.
I think it's at minimum 5 songs from 10. Minimum.
Oh, yeah. Like, is this, it has me almost wondering now, is this the least number of songs off of 10 that they played in one show since, like, the mid-90s?
Oh, it has to be
I would
close.
love to know.
That'll be something. Maybe we'll crunch the numbers and
We'll have to look into that.
Or we can use it as a trivia question. That can be the trivia question. We have some time that we've recorded this in between. That could be tonight's trivia question. So stay tuned. Do some math before 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, and maybe or a variety of that will be that trivia question. We'll work on something. So getting back to Daughter, great crowd participation on this. It's a really good Daughter, which I've been very critical of Daughter here and there, just saying it's just kind of run of the mill, but I feel like this is a great version of it. And you get the tag here, and Ed says after Shades Go Down line, he uses the line, "Our freedoms break down." And this is important because at the time, the immigration laws in Arizona are changing and getting stricter, and there was a lot of controversy going around on that. So Ed gets a towel tossed to him, or actually I went to the video and I checked, he kind of signaled for somebody to throw him the towel, and the towel says WMA on it, and he uses the line, he says,
"White male from Arizona." That's what I read. He won the lottery when he was born. A big hand slapped a white male Arizona. Do no wrong, so clean for dirty his hands. It comes right home. Policeman.
kind of crazy that 9 years later and here we are.
It seems like nothing's changed.
It's gotten worse.
Yeah.
It has gotten worse.
WMA has become not just one of my favorite Daughter tags, but one of my favorite songs in general.
Yeah.
I just like the whole song in its entirety. I wish they would play it more. I understand it's really hard for him to sing.
I know.
And it's much easier as a tag for him to just do it lower. So I get it. I just obviously just wish they would play it more, but that's just my interpretation.
Ed mentions the Arizona stuff, and he says how they stopped teaching cultural studies down there, and says it's something needs to be fixed. Dad Ed getting his line in. The fixer. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think the coolest thing is that they actually waited to the 17 hole to put the big single off of Backspacer in. They really milked the first set and waited a long time to get the fixer in there.
Fixer was usually probably like top 5 at least.
Right. Something that you could get in those first 5-6 songs, get it out of the way. Yeah. People know it. It's off the new album, etc. I mean, they waited. This is no typical show.
No,
they're completely throwing. Eddie's throwing the book out and just kind of mixing it all up. It's a good performance. It's a solid song. It is what it is. I'll take it or leave it. Having Why Go close out the first set is much more exciting.
Yeah, and I messaged you before we were kind of going over our notes, and I said, out of all the things that have happened, I look at this set list. I'm like, really? Why Go is the first set closer? I don't remember that. I don't know why I don't have this visual memory of being there for Why Go to close the set. It must be everything else just supersedes it and just is more memorable than this. But like, if you were to ask me a couple months ago, without looking at the set list, without studying anything, hey, what closed MSG Night 2 2010, the first set? I probably would have said Porch, or I would have said Rearview Mirror. I don't think I would have said Why Go. Not that it's forgettable, because it's really good here. It's really, really good here.
Very good, yeah.
It's just that I think at this point there were so many things that had happened, and I think you're just running so high on energy, and you're running straight through. You go, you're getting the encores after it, and there's so much going on that you're mentioning everything else except Why Go as the first set closer. It's just it becomes kind of a footnote instead of a strong punctuation.
I think these days, Why Go is really a song that tends to appear earlier in sets.
I would say so, yeah.
I feel like it's a high energy song. It gets the people going, and it just feels like the kind of song where, especially the last maybe like 4 or 5 shows I've gone to, which, I mean, I've seen them play Why Go a lot. It just seems like it's always early in the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To have them close this first set and have it be the 18th song they're playing, again, at the time meant nothing to me. But now looking back at it and thinking about it and taking everything into consideration, all the other shows I've been to, it feels, I don't want to say out of place, because I feel like that has a negative connotation to it, but It just feels unusual. It's something different.
Every time I talk to Matt about Why Go, he says he likes it near like the end of a set because the lyrics, why go home? We're going to be here a while, why go? It works for this spot. It doesn't, the lyrics don't necessarily work for the first couple songs in the set, but the chanting in the beginning and the energy of it works perfectly.
I agree. I would love to, moving forward, to see this appear later in sets, 100%.
I want to see everything get just jumbled and mixed up, and I want them to just throw the book out on all the tours going forward. I know they won't. I know it's gonna get kind of chalky. It's gonna be a little bit predictable, I would think. With some unpredictable things, but I think it's gonna be more structured from here on out. I would have to say.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Time will tell. Encore.
So that's it. First break.
Encore 1 here. The string quartet is on stage that they used the night prior, and Ed says the song, he's glad it's not autobiographical. The End and Just Breathe, you can package them together. We kind of know this is the same thing we talked about last week with Yellow Moon and Future Days.
See, I love The End.
I like it too. I think it's a nice song.
I'm a big fan of that song. It's, I don't know. I don't know if was it my favorite one of Backspacer? Maybe. I don't know, depending on the mood I'm in. I really like the end. I think it's an underrated song, actually. I think it's one of the best. I don't know, it just really like evokes some sort of emotion from Eddie. Like that Eddie really, it's like he really shines on that song. His songwriting. I mean, he's written. We know he's written so many incredible lyrics and songs and everything. But I mean, it's just him and a guitar. Just him. Even without the string section, I mean, the strings make it even more,
of course,
beautiful and enhance it.
Yeah, like these songs sound great, and I wish we could spend more time on them. You hate to just pass by a Just Breathe with an orchestra accompaniment, but that's not the story. We know what the story is here.
Of course.
Ed, mentions all the quartet members and says that we all wrote a new one today. And there's
I'm sorry, can I cut you off really quick before you get into it? Is this the part where he says all their names, or does he wait until after this song to give all their names?
Before.
Okay. Okay. Did you notice what one of the people's names is?
No.
Oh, Randy, you're slacking.
I was just kind of
It's very easy to glance over because you're like, okay, yeah, great, they're the string players. But one of the names, if it's actually incredible that this is the guy's name.
Okay.
On the cello, Andrew Wood there.
No.
Yes.
Is it really?
Look, go back and listen.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Wow.
I think it might be the first name he says.
And how is he not like?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he didn't want to get into it. He's like, you know what? I can dive into that, but I'm gonna leave it alone.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that like if magical moments weren't happening already on this night,
come on,
it's Andy's spirit is in the building. You guys,
amazing.
Holy moly. Okay.
Which leads us into.
They say there's more than one way to skin a cat. But who the fuck is out there skinning cats? Cat skinning, what they used to do in America. But this right here is another way to skin a cat.
Walk down the street, can't find the keys to my old home. I'll take a walk, curse myself for being dumb. After the arches, stinking grease and bone, piss on the supermarket like a dog. I'm gonna Lucas, I got a spot in Lucas. Lock the door at Lucas, open the fridge. Now I know life is I returned home to find an open door. I found a freak who thinks that I'm her son. I call the cops, this day's work's never done. Last I heard the freak was purchasing a fucking gun. So I'm gonna Lucas, I got a spot in Lucas. Knock the door, Lucas, open the fresh. Now I know that that's where I'm gonna Lucas. I got a spot in Lucas.
think the majority of the people knew what was going on until he got into the chorus.
They 110% didn't, because no one even makes a peep until he starts singing the chorus.
Right. I figured it out pretty early. I was able to figure it out.
I mean, like, if you know the lyrics to the song, like, people should have honestly known it. Like, as soon as he started singing, like, of course, if you didn't,
like,
exactly,
can't find my keys to my own home, like, that's
exactly.
I was able to kind of grasp on it pretty quickly, and I think from anybody that was there the night before and kind of understood, you know, Lucan, what we called when we covered that show, Lucan 1.5. If you understood that they did it the night before and they did it in the same spot, then that's got to click in your mind somewhere. That they're, you know, maybe that they would do it again. That's why I'm pretty sure. I think I recognized it right away, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is a repeat, you know. But this is, you know, they were fucking around last night. Now they're not fucking around. Lucan is a beautiful song, isn't it?
Yeah, when you put it like this, it sure is. And I mean, if I had $1 for every time I've seen someone in a Pearl Jam Facebook group share this video,
I know,
you know, the performance, like the video of this performance, like, we'd be rich. You know, it's just one of those moments in the band's history that everyone references all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you were at the show, even I remember, like, I can remember them playing these 3 songs with the strings, like, because it was so different than what they had done for the first set, you know, and is different than anything I've seen ever since. And again, so lucky to have this as in the first show, but it sticks out in your mind because it is so different. It is something that's so unique for them, for, I mean, this performance and this song. I mean, it's to change the song. I mean, it's such an angry, fast, punky,
I'll put it this way,
song, and to make it like sound so beautiful. It's crazy.
I was simultaneously, I was laughing, I was singing, and I was crying all at the same time during this performance. I don't know how that all happened, but I was doing it, and I was bursting with joy. This was unbelievable. I don't know if it's ever going to be played like this again. I think they did. Did they do Lucan 2 in Denver, 2014? I believe they did.
Was it with a string section though?
I don't think it was with the strings. I think
they just played it slow.
Right, but people don't go back to that. They go back to this.
Oh, 100%. It's the first time they did it.
Exactly. And it's again, it's the Garden, it's this show. Look, for a song that he sometimes doesn't even muster any of the energy to say any actual lyrics, this is special. This is fantastic. So, from here on out, it is just, I'm going to play a little, I'm going to do a little siren here. We have a serious collector's alert.
Exponentially serving, perpetually unnerving. We have to swell it.
Red, yellow hits, and I'm like, fuck, really? What? I was just, after acoustic Lucan 2, how are you going to just top everything else that has happened on this night by playing the rarest of the rare, and one of the ones that actually at the Hartford show This was the pancake line that Eddie had, the famous pancake line from the Hartford show, that somebody had a sign that said play black, red, yellow, and Eddie said, we don't come to your house asking for pancakes. And literally a week later, they're like, all right, let's play black, red, yellow. It had been 187 shows since they
took it out of my mouth.
5 times to this point. They've only played it twice since. One of those times I know was Wrigley. I don't remember.
Wrigley with Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
I want to say it was in 2014. Let's see. It was. It was 2014 in Detroit.
Oh, it's Detroit.
So only 2 other times after that. So.
But fuck, this is the first time since 2005. I like the deepest of deep cuts right here.
Not as deep as the second one though.
Well,
Sweet Lou, 2 out of 2.
You're digging the knife in.
And Jeff even is like, I thought last time we played the Spectrum was going to be the only time we did this, but I guess not.
It was supposed to be one time only, but I guess it's 2 times.
I mean, listen,
only.
The song is, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's not very good.
It's a jokey song.
Power high, power low. You can take them all to school. You can fly. Wilt still had nothing on you. Lamb chops and Afro do. Milwaukee Bucks and a barbecue. Number 33. Just like you. Sweet you. How could you?
It's supposed to be funny,
right?
But it's just and again, like, it means nothing to me in real time. But like going back and just like trying to wrap my head around the fact that they played these 2 songs back to back like that in the first show that I ever went to, it's like, how?
But also, at this point, like, even if you didn't know it then, you can still, when you have your Pearl Jam war stories that you could talk about, you could be like, I have Sweet Lou under my belt. People love to know. Anytime I get into a conversation with somebody, I want to know what shows and what songs, and I want to compare.
What's the rarest thing you've seen?
Exactly. Like, it's the most interesting thing to me. And Sweet Lou, I always go back. I'm like, man, if I go down to songs in the single digits that have been played, like Sweet Lou, Jesus, it's only been played twice. How did I get a chance to see? How was I lucky? I've only been going to see them since 2008. There have been people that have been seeing them since, I don't know, 1994 that haven't gotten something like this, It's just...
the lucky ones.
Exactly. We were very lucky this night. And my comment, I wanted to make this comment because I wrote it down. The kitchen sink has been thrown, you guys. The kitchen sink is out there. My brother looked to me during the song and he said, "What the fuck is this?" And I just said, "It's about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, just don't worry about it. Just enjoy it.
The guy
as best you can.
The guy to the other side of me, somewhere around this point, he says, "I've been to 67 shows," and I'm like, "Oh wow, I've been to 5. I want to be you someday." And he's like, "I've never seen anything like I've seen tonight." We're not even out of the first encore
that speaks for itself. So whatever.
Given a fly,
and I had to be around. Yeah. So all right. So kind of a decent segue, I guess. So we get out of the weird weeds at this point.
Yeah.
And it had to be around this point that I think I turned to my uncle and I'm like, it still stands out in my head that I'll never forget this for as long as I live. I was like, "Uncle Joe, are they gonna play like any of their hits at any point?" He's like, "They have." He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Are they going to play like anything I know?" He's like, "Yeah, but like they have already. Like you just don't know them." I'm
right.
Like, "Oh, all right. I guess so."
That was the last time you ever asked that question.
Last time I ever asked that. And like I said, I wish I could go back in time, like with my head now, and go to this concert all over again. But anyway, Given a Fly.
Yeah, I mean, you got Given a Fly, Spin the Black Circle, Rearview Mirror that are ending this encore, and
he sounds so good in Spin the Black Circle.
Oh yeah, everything.
It's so good.
Spin the Black. I feel bad because there are like 15 different songs that have better talking points than Spin the Black Circle. I got everything on everything else, and I'm like, this is just really good. It's just being overshadowed.
Yep.
Everybody's still on their
Yeah,
A
and
game.
Rearview Mirror.
That's-
Yeah, like, you know, the ending.
Rearview Mirror is
you
fucking
know,
fantastic here.
But like at the end of the song where it's like, you know, want you in my, you know, the really high one.
Oh yeah,
Like, he actually does it. Like he does it.
He gets
You
a
know,
good
he could
belt
still
out
do
there.
it. It's so good, man.
Yeah.
Just
And this had like a similar vibe to it that the Voodoo Fest version that we covered a couple weeks ago did, where he says, I will forgive, but I won't forget. He kind of does that up until the lead up, and then you get like a drum solo before during the clapping part, and that's
a
really
great
cool.
little improv there. From Ed's little vocal improv thing into the little mini Matt Cameron solo. That is a great. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because that is a really, really good moment. Kills it, man. It's just it's so good. Like again, if you're listening to this and you've never listened to this show, oh my god,
Get in
please
touch
go
with us.
listen.
We'll send you the boot.
Like I'll send it to you for like
Yeah.
I don't care. Like I would spread it to send it around to people like because it's that good.
Yeah, people need to listen to this show. If you're a Pearl Jam fan and have any sort of dedication, love, passion for this band and haven't heard this show before, look, we're going off about
You're doing
it
yourself a
and-
disservice.
Yeah, you really are. You really are. They're like the top 10 shows that you should listen to. Soldier Field is there. The Orpheum is there.
Maybe Amsterdam 2012.
Possibly, yeah. But especially from the last 10 years, this is probably the best show of the last 10 years. With
We're not biased at all.
With all the Wrigley's and Seattle and all that stuff, it's one of them. It's top 3. It's up there. But
I will not argue with that.
I know. We'll hear from you. Live on Four Legs Podcast at gmail.com. If you have stronger beliefs on thinking this is at least not the best show of the last 10 years, let's give it that, because I know 2003 was really important to people. So we'll
Sure.
give 10 years. Is it the best show of the last 10 years? Question mark. That's our question for the week. Send us an email, live on fourlegspodcast at gmail.com. We have Encore 2 to get to here. We're not done yet.
Yeah.
Whew.
Bizarre little beginning here.
Wasted Reprise Bed playing under Ed speaking, yeah.
But there's no life wasted.
Nope.
It's just Wasted Reprise.
It's just Wasted Reprise. And if it's not life wasted that they go into, it is usually Better Man. I've had that before.
Right.
We've covered that before. And there was actually one time where we've covered Wasted Reprise in a Porch, which was really awkward. Into Riffy Porch, actually. So
I don't need to hear Porch anymore.
I know.
I think I pretty much made that known, but whatever. Unless they go back to the old way. Fast Porch, hashtag Fast Porch.
Yep, exactly. We're on board. We'll see.
This performance of Better Man has become immortalized in the PJ20 documentary.
Yep.
It is amazing, and it was at this point that I said, like, I was looking around for a lot of the show at other people. This was, I can clear as day remember during Better Man looking like down at like where you were, on the floor and on like the far side of the garden from where I was sitting and like in the distance, and just seeing like people sing. I can hear it in my head, like the moment where Ed starts out, the singing, waiting, watching, and as soon as he says watching, that's it. He doesn't say another thing until, you know, the oh, whatever.
Right.
Leading into the next verse, etc. That entire first few lines is all the crowd.
Waiting, watching.
It's clear as day in the mix. It's clear as day in my head when I think back to looking around and seeing everybody singing together in unison, and it was incredible. I mean, it was just like, it's so difficult to put into words how amazing it was to soak that all in, and just like I barely even knew the words. Like I probably knew the chorus, but so I couldn't really sing along. But to see what was happening in front of me, it has stuck with me to this day. I will never forget it. You know, the whole show, yes, but this performance particularly, you know, Better Man to me now is like, all right, whatever. Like, I like Better Man, but it's whatever. It doesn't, if they didn't play it in a show, I'm not going to cry about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it just really hammers the point home that even at this point for the first show, like, kind of knowing it, but, you know, it was just that impactful on me that it's like burned in my brain. I'll never forget it.
The best way that I can describe this song, and I won't say this about a lot of other songs ever, because it's a powerful thing to say. Ed invited 18,000 people on stage to sing, and they all got on stage and sang.
Yep. That about sums it up.
Yeah. It's crisp and clear on the bootleg. Mm-hmm. You can hear the crowd, like single people's enunciations of things. You can hear
it doesn't sound muffled at all.
No, it's incredible. And then, you know, obviously you look at the PJ20 version and you look at the video of this, and just like everybody, the waves of people in the crowd just passionately singing this and losing their mind when they go into the chorus and then the tag afterwards. I don't think I'm stretching here by saying that it's probably overall one of their greatest moments that they've ever had at a show. I don't
think it's too much of a stretch. I mean, they've had a lot of moments, but as far as like real-time connection with the audience in the moment, in the middle of a performance of a song,
right?
I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find another example as stronger than this.
Right. It's really difficult to explain, because it was just it was one of those things where you had to be in the moment and experience it. And look, you know, we get that from people a lot, that they say, I can't explain my concert story to you. You had to have been there. And
right.
It's frustrating because, you know, you want some background into what you're covering. But for something like this, man, like, I can go off more on it and about just how the crowd sounded and how the band sounded and how tight they were. But if you can't feel it when you're there, if you can't feel it when you're watching it, I don't know if you can feel it at all.
I think a lot of people already, if they don't realize that this performance of Better Man is from this night, they've already heard it because they've seen PJ20, and they're like, if you're listening, you might be like, oh yeah, that's right.
I have to mention the tag too, because the tag was just incredible, and I remember during the time I'm like, why don't they actually sing "Save It for Later" during this? So I took it upon myself after they did the "Don't Run Away, Don't Let Me Down." I started singing the chorus, and my brother looks at me, he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm singing it," and he kind of realizes what I'm doing midway through. He's like, all right, save it for later. Don't run away. Don't let me. And he kind of follows up on it. It was kind of fun. It was a cool moment. So, man,
yeah,
you're going from Better Man into Black. That's not fair, man. That's not fair. How dare you pull on our heartstrings like that?
I know it. At least finally two songs I knew.
Exactly. You're this second
at
encore
28 and
you.
29 of the show.
Oh boy.
And Black is great. At this moment, it was the first song that I really loved by them. You kind of like go through, oh, well, what's your favorite song? Well, it depends on when you ask me. It's like it kind of changes a lot of the time over time. Black was the first one for me. So hearing it live right away like that definitely stood out. Mike's solo is so good.
It has such a warm feeling to it, this version.
Yeah,
it just
his guitar.
It's comforting, yeah.
Honestly, the tone he has throughout the entire show feels different than it does now. I don't know how to explain it. Their whole sounds a little different. It's like they're using different amps or something.
Maybe.
I don't really like if you listen to this and then you go to like 2013 and then 2016 and then 2018. It's like there's a progression and a change in the tones of their guitars or something. It's hard to explain.
One thing I really noticed from this was just like this little creepy slide thing that Boom was doing on the keys. Did you notice that? It kind of had this like little like, I don't know, it just sounded really haunting.
I'm sure
almost.
If I go back and listen to it and actually listen for it, I wouldn't recognize it. But off the top of my head, as you're saying it, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and just the clapping at the end too. It's got everything. This version. It's instead of "We Belong Together," he does "We Didn't Belong Together." Yeah, Whew. that hits you. That hits you pretty nicely. So, how do you follow any of this up? You put in a Who cover. Shit, yeah.
Love it.
I explicitly, this is another great moment that I have with my brother, who's, again, like pretty casual Pearl Jam fan. I think he, I wouldn't consider him to have Pearl Jam in his top 5 favorite bands, but, I try to influence him as much as I can. I remember staring at him in this moment and just, he was in a trance with the band and singing back to them during this moment. I've been to shows with him a bunch of times, and I've never seen him like this, connecting with the band like that. And I texted with him yesterday and today, and I'm just like, do you remember anything? And he's like, I really don't. I just remember it being really good. I remember liking it, and that's about it. But I'm just like, you don't realize, like, this is one of the best shows of all time. And he's just kind of like, oh, all right, that's cool. But I remember seeing, specifically in this moment, him staring at the stage saying, can you see the real... I'm looking, I'm like, dude, you're a different person.
He sounds so good, Eddie,
really
though.
Does.
In this cover.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it a million times, but, like, really, these covers, just so on point.
They
like
are.
The screams and oh my god.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
He's really he's channeling inner Daughtry there. He's bringing it into another level that, I don't think they do the Real Me that much nowadays. It's kind of
they've played it 8 times since.
Yeah. It's been left off, but I think there's a reason. I don't think that they can get back to where they had it at this point.
No.
So, and I think he knows it. So it's, it's
I mean,
special.
listen, his voice is what it is. So he's not going to be able to hit these notes forever. So I get it. It's fine.
Exactly. Just keep it, keep it locked up in this era, and appreciate it for what it is.
And then how do you follow that up?
I feel like we've said that after every song. How the fuck do you follow it up? Well, Ed invites Ben Bridwell on the stage, and this is okay. We talked about it in the Hartford episode we did months ago. I said to my brother, I whispered during him, like, fuck, I know what's coming. And I thought this was going to be the buzzkill of the set here. Because in Hartford, Ben Bridwell came on the stage after Indifference, and they did All Along the Watchtower. I don't like All Along the Watchtower. I think it's a boring as fuck song. I don't care about it. And I felt like that song and the energy of this night wouldn't have worked. So I was not anticipating I didn't want that. And
Sure.
I didn't get that.
No, you did not.
And you hear the little arpeggiated intro, and I'm just losing my freaking mind.
I don't mind stealing bread from the mouths of David. I can't feed on the powerless. My cup's already overfilled. But it's on the table, the fire's cooking, and the farm baby is all working. But it's on the table, the mouths are choking. I'm going hungry. I'm spirit from the mouths of deputy. When my cup's already but it's on the table, the fire's cooking, and the farmer babies and slaves are out working. But it's on the table, the mouths are choking. But I'm going hungry. I'm going hungry. I'm going hungry. I'm going hungry.
Hunger strike? Are you kidding me?
And I said
What
this
is
to you
going
before.
on here?
I didn't know this song at the time, of course, still being introduced to all this. And this song was the first song I remember looking up the next day.
Wow.
Because it stuck with me, and I just
The duet,
there's something
yeah.
about it. Yeah. Like even though Bridwell's performance, like, it's okay. It's obviously not Cornell and never could be. You're not expecting it. It doesn't need to be like that. But
And he was holding off that last part, the last I Don't Mind.
Yeah.
He was definitely like, I can't do this, you guys. I would love to do
you could
this, but I
sense the
can't.
nervousness in his voice a little bit. He's kind of like starstruck a little bit.
Yeah.
And he does a solid job. All the verses are fine. The chorus is fine for the most part. The last note, his voice cracks, whatever, doesn't matter. Eddie sounds awesome, hitting all the notes and everything, but just them singing together and like seeing people's reaction to when even when Mike just starts playing the notes, the arpeggiated notes, and it's just like everybody flipped, like you said. And I remember like that stuck out to me, and I was like, wow, That's awesome. Like why are people freaking out about this? Like, and I was like, I think I remember asking my uncle, I was like, is this even a Pearl Jam song? Like I've really never heard this song. Like I don't even no idea what this is. And he's like, no, it's something else. Which he likes Pearl Jam. He knows Temple of the Dog, but it was like he didn't know off the top of his head. But
right.
I definitely looked this up like the next morning. I remember because it stuck with me in my head, and I was like, oh yeah, going hungry. It's like, oh, what is that? Like, and it, that's another springboard into the world that we've become engulfed in. So yeah, wow. awesome moment. So rare.
I know. They're never playing Hunger Strike again. So if you've never seen Hunger Strike live, I think your chance is up at this point.
Maybe one day we'll make a little exception and go to the Temple of the Dog route and do the MSG show from 2016.
We have talked about it.
Because I was there.
We were both there. So
I did see it then, as did you, so we could do that.
Yep. But at a show in 2019, 2020, that this is not happening.
I think it's essentially retired for good. I think at this point, even just emotionally, they're not going to go back to this. So
right.
But amazing moment. Amazing.
Shit. Then you get Alive.
3 left.
And yeah, it just, at this point, like, you get Alive and I know what's coming. I know it's like, this is the sign that it's the end of the night, that it's the end of my 3-show run. I don't know when I'm going to see them again. And there's just like this, like, the
sense of dread that you get
when I hear that. It's not dread. It's more like accomplishment almost. Where
it's just it's also like, you're like, oh, it's coming to an end. Like,
right.
Oh, no.
Where you have to savor, you have to sing those last the last lines as loud as you can.
And it's also like, will I get that extra song in the middle,
Right. What,
will they do that for me this time, or will they just go Alive Ledbetter or Alive Free World and that's it? Like, will I get that extra song?
Right. And yeah, I think, with this, I don't remember hearing it live, but going back to the bootleg, a year or two later, I'm like, wait a minute, I hear something here. That's got to be War Pigs, right? The last time they played it from...
You've got to be kidding me. From 9/11/98, 384 shows?
Mm-hmm. That's what it
never
says.
Tagged War Pigs once?
We're gonna have to look in on that, but
that's insane.
Right now, that's the stats.
And then he's done it 2 times since. 4, because this was 4 out of
6.
Out of 6 out of the 6 times. How can that can't be?
I know.
6 times total ever? Okay, wow. So the only 2 times that they've... all right, so you got the Moore Theater, Pinkpop. Garden in 98, 9/11/98, that's 3. Our show, this one, is 4. Then they did it in John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville in 2013, and then Quebec City in 2016.
I think that there's at least 1 or 2 more.
It seems like something's missing. Right?
Yeah, and those are tough. Look, Dave does a really good job with Live Footsteps, and he does a lot of homework. But man, that's really hard to hear. This is something like you have to have a really keen ear. It didn't take me until I'd listened to I'd worn this bootleg out. I listened to it hundreds of times and didn't realize it was War Pigs until a couple of years after.
Right.
Just incredible. The band knows the history.
Just keeps coming.
And I didn't know that the last time that they had played it was the Garden. I don't know if Mike knew that either.
Probably not.
I wouldn't think so. What a ridiculous thing to remember.
Yeah.
But
so many moments just to the lengthy list already.
Yeah. Here's one moment that is the one that you can kind of live without on the show. And our first ever show that we did, we called back to it because the Fenway Night 1 show last year, Ed made mention of Bono and how Bono was going through surgery or something like that. And
he's a badass.
Right, he's an Irishman. I remember, I don't want to talk about it too much here because it's kind of, we got better things and got to wrap things up, but it's like he copy pasted this speech and used it at the Fenway show.
Yep.
It's the same thing. It's the
Pretty
same
much.
thing. So if you listen to episode 1 and remember us talking about Bono, and yes, we were very critical about it because Matt and I do not like U2 at all and really don't like Bono at all. I don't know how you feel about him, but
I'm indifferent.
Okay.
Whatever. I really have like no opinion. It's fine.
Sorry for the U2 fans out there. It's just our.
But he had gotten
take
in
on.
like. Was this when he got in the bike accident, or he hurt his back working out, or something?
This was, I think, the bike accident.
In Central Park, right?
Yeah, I think that's why he brought it up because
It was in New York.
Yeah, because the New York Times. But Buckley, is it time? Is it time?
It's time.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time to kick out the jams, motherfuckers!
Surprises on this night.
And he just lets out this otherworldly howl in the beginning.
This is supposed to be like Rockin' in the Free World, Ledbetter and Bye. This is bread and butter. No,
this was the
Kick out the
extra
jams.
little add-on that you get right
my
before
God.
the actual closer, and it
Love it.
is amazing.
Loving every
I'm actually
freaking minute
a
of this.
huge fan of the, yes, my last name is Buckley, but the Jeff, there's actually a bunch of really good versions of Jeff Buckley covering Kick Out the Jams.
Wow, okay.
And it's awesome. Like, I don't know if you or anyone listening, if you're a Jeff Buckley fan, he does a really good cover of this, but this is like my favorite performance, like cover of Kick Out the Jams.
A
Like,
lot of bands have done it. Rage Against the Machine did it.
Oh, yeah.
Presidents of the United States did it.
I
there's
know
at least one or two other that
Kim Thile from Soundgarden is like a huge McFive fan. Like, huge. Like, he loves McFive. Like, he's toured with them. Like, they've gone in this like 50th anniversary tour the last couple of years, and he's like been the guitarist
they
and
played
stuff.
Kick Out the Jams when they were in Seattle last
Yep,
year, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my point. So it's a popular song. It's a common cover in this world, and they kill it. It's a short song. It's short, but it's absolutely so raucous and energetic and powerful, and just so in line with everything else that has happened in the show, where it's just like, what they're doing this, and it's to throw this in right before Ledbetter to close things out. It's perfect.
I know.
Perfect. Ledbetter with Star Spangled Banner. To
Bring
get
it
it,
on home,
actually, I remember at this point, my uncle was like, "All right, we gotta go. We're gonna get a jump to get on the train." I was like, "What?" I was like so gripped by by them playing. I was like, "Well, I don't want to go. Like, what? Do we have to?" He's like, "No, come on, we're going. We're going."
Catch the train. Yep.
I was like, "Fine."
You want a four-seater.
I remember, yeah, exactly. I remember hearing the Star Spangled Banner in the hallway outside, like on the concourse, going down the escalators to get downstairs. I can remember clearly through the walls and in the hallways hearing Mike play the Star Spangled Banner. So I wish I would have been able to stand there and watch it all, but hey.
Yeah.
Can't
this
complain.
was just an amazing moment. The first two shows that I got, one closed with Watchtower, the other closed with Indifference. So at the time I was a huge like Ledbetter mark, as they call in the wrestling industry. They'll call them marks. I was a huge Ledbetter mark. Top 5 song at the time. I thought that it was a disservice to the fans that they wouldn't close with it every night. And I was crossing my fingers because I knew that they had done so much already, and I was just hoping that there would be one more, and there was, and I was so happy. I remember my brother took some video during this, and I asked him, I said, "You probably don't have anything left from 2010." He's like, "You know what? I'll check my computer. I'll just check." So if it's there, I'll post it. But my brother took video of us during the chorus, and basically we're just doing the mumble, we're mumble fucking the shit out of that. And then during the Make Me Cry, we both simultaneously make me cry. It's like the funniest thing. And my brother and I sound exactly alike. We have the same voice. So you're hearing double. It's kind of crazy, but you get, the anthem, McCready busting out a really intense and kind of squeamish version of the anthem.
Yeah, it's very, very much in line with the actual Hendrix version.
Yeah.
Where he's not just playing, the notes to the Stars Playing About. He's doing the feedback. He's doing the dive bomber with the whammy bar. It's like full blown, like every little detail about the Hendrix version. He's channeling it. It's
Did you notice?
amazing.
So I had to look up what this was. Did you notice the dun 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 dun?
Yes.
So
that's from the Hendrix version.
Yes. Do you know what that is though? That's okay.
Isn't that some military thing?
I'm not sure. What I know it from, what I think it is, or at least it sounds like, in like cartoons where like it's a cartoon of a farm and like the sun is rising. It's na 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 na.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's that.
Oh, like the sun rising in Vietnam or something?
Something like that. It's from Grieg. It's called Suite Number 1 Morning Mood.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I think that's what
could just be because Hendrix did it. That's why Mike's doing it.
but Hendrix did it.
You're saying why did Hendrix? Okay, I got you.
Yeah. I'm just giving some.
Right. No, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah. I never would have known that.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just incredible.
Very cool.
Incredible. And the band stays on for the last, an extra minute or two and just soaks it all in. Ed intros everybody, says everybody's name, and kind of waves goodbye, knowing that this would be the last U.S. date that they would play for a while. And holy moly, how do you come back from that? How do you go?
Well, they don't. They go home and then they go over to Europe in a month.
I'm talking about myself. Like, how do you go to work the next day and like explain to the people that you work with that like I just?
Well, that was a Friday, so luckily you. I mean, you were working at that point. I guess you were working on the weekend. Okay, yeah. So I get that.
I worked in sports, so
yeah,
we had weekends.
I was still in school, so
yeah. I don't think I was able to explain what I had went through. And it was just something I had to live with my excitement and share it with my brother and Matt and Steve and whoever else I was, around at the time. And it's the best show of any band that I've ever been to in my entire life, and I've been to hundreds. I have ticket stubs that, span back from the early 2000s for, bands from all over the spectrum of classic rock to punk rock to metal to alternative, everywhere. Even some rap in there too. I've seen as close to everything as I could possibly see, and this is by far the best performance that I've ever seen on a live stage.
I mean, that pretty much says it all.
Yeah.
I mean, my 2 cents, I said it in the beginning of this. I'll just quickly reiterate it again. I will forever be indebted to my uncle for taking me to this show. I mean, if it sounds, again, a little over the top, but if I hadn't gone to this show, I don't know. Like, my life could have been very, I don't know how, I don't want to say drastically different, but a lot of the things that people I've met and things that I've done and my taste in music and everything could have been drastically different.
Sure.
I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know a lot of the people that
No.
I'm friends with.
Yeah.
So
it's more
in
than
every sense
this.
of the word, of the term, a life-changing night.
Yeah. Welcome to the community.
And it takes me back every
Welcome
time.
to the Jamily.
Yes, that I listen to this bootleg, it just takes me back. And man, what a ride it's been since.
Yeah.
And again, fingers crossed. Hopefully,
just
it's going to
talking about
continue
it,
soon.
We
Yeah.
could have sat there at a bar and had the same conversation for the same amount of time,
Easily.
You know, and maybe talked about even other things and spliced other stories in between. But like, this is why we do this, guys.
Yeah.
This is why we do this.
This
We
is a
wanna
prime
reminisce.
example.
We want to reminisce.
Like, just
We
go
wanna tell
listen to
memories.
it.
Yeah, we played a ton of it. I don't think we could play more than what we played. I think I did it justice as much as I could. If it was a long episode, I'm sorry, but I'm really not sorry. I know
This is the one where it's like, I don't even
has to
care.
be.
It just has to be based on the nature of it. Yeah.
This one absolutely deserved every bit of it. Can you possibly put together 3 of your top favorite moments? Is it possible? Is it possible?
See, the thing is, like I said, I can look at it through my eyes as I did in the real time, and I can look at it as the fan that I am now. So,
I think the fan that you are now knows better, knows more, knows what the impact is.
Yeah.
I would ask you both, but pick one.
I'll just do it through like my time then.
Okay.
Through my eyes then, because
Okay.
like that was what really happened, and it was like these moments that helped shape why I became hooked. So I would say the beginning, watching them come out and hearing this buzz come over the crowd and the stage shaking. So that would be 1. 2 would have to be, I think, Better Man. Like I said, looking around and seeing everybody singing along and Eddie letting the crowd do all the singing. And, man, 3, I don't know. I think maybe just leaving, and it sounds ridiculous, but just like walking out and trying
knowing that
to,
it never ended almost.
Yeah, and trying to understand and comprehend what I had just witnessed. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like
100%.
To be like, okay, that happened, and now I need to have more of that
Right.
in my life.
How do I
do this again?
capitalize off this?
Exactly.
Yes.
So that would just, I think, understanding and coming to the realization that this was something that I needed to become part of my life, and how much I loved experiencing it, and how much I knew there was to discover about them. And it was like the door had opened. Just feeling like coming to that understanding within my own head. That would probably be number 3.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So my top 3. 3, I'm gonna say Luke and 2, just because the impact of that was magnificent. You go on all the boards and the Facebook groups after the show, and that's all they're talking about. Maybe not all they're talking about, but that's huge. And it's the one thing that other people that didn't go to the show are asking about, and YouTube is really just starting to develop into what it is today at the time, so you're not seeing clips right away. So I would say Luke and 2 deserves to be on that top 3. I would say it's my 3rd. My 2nd, I'm gonna say Hunger Strike. Just because the sheer surprise of it, no idea it was coming, and when it did, I was an absolute joy. Just being able to, and obviously PJ20 would follow with Cornell, and who knew at the time that was even going to be a thing. But I thought this was going to be something that they never did again, and even like we said before, going back, it's not, we're not getting that in this day and age now with everything that's gone on. So I think Hunger Strike is extremely important in the show. And number one, I said it before, Better Man is one of the best performances of any Pearl Jam song of all time. PJ20 documented it. The crowd was on stage for this one. They were electric. They were incredible, amazing. There's not much more to say after that. It's one of the best Pearl Jam performances of all time. And shout outs to Black, Red, and Yellow and Sweet Lou and Push Me, Pull Me and all the random stuff that happened on this night that just made for just an amazing time. We already rated this perfect 10. We don't get a lot of shows where we rate a 10. I've only rated a 10 twice before then. This is the first and probably the only show that I've been to that I'll rate a 10. I haven't been to a show better than this. I think Brooklyn probably is as close as possible.
Yeah, Brooklyn too.
I gave that like a 9.8, I believe, because I knew that nothing was beating this. I gave Pinkpop a 10 because he had to, and I gave Live at the Garden a 10 because how much that meant to me and my building of Pearl Jam fandom. So, but man, we ran through that, and
this was a pleasure.
It absolutely was. Thank you, sir. If we were in the same room, I would hug you and not let go for an awkward amount of minutes. But this was an experience. Only when you think of all the span of Pearl Jam fans, and there are 81,000 that follow the official Pearl Jam group on Facebook, 18,000 people, whether they were Big Ten Club fans or not, got to see this show. That's a very small percentage in the grand scheme of things in the world. So just take a step back and you think about, that you were really hell the lucky ones, because you were.
I was about to say that.
One of the lucky ones to be in the crowd to witness this, and it doesn't happen often that you can really say that and say it with pride and passion, but like this night was really it belongs on that high scale. So
amen.
So I don't know how we're gonna follow that up, but we'll be back next week. We'll play co-host roulette next week. Won't tell you which co-host we're gonna have on, but you will find out when you know. And next week is Halloween week, so coming back for the second year in a row in my Treehouse of Horror. So last year, obviously, we did the Spectrum closing because that was a Halloween show for In My Treehouse of Horror 1. This year is In My Treehouse of Horror 2, so we're going to be doing night 3 of the Spectrum from 10:30. And I think a lot of people say that show was better than night 4. So
yeah, I've heard that. Yes,
I've never listened to it before. I'm going to dig into it when as soon as we're done finishing this one up, and we're going to get going, and we're gonna really dig into it. So
love it.
Yeah, Buckley, it's been a pleasure.
As always, Randy. Thank you to everybody for listening and dealing with our gush fest.
If you feel the same way or you feel differently, if you didn't like the show, love the show, liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com, or social media, we're all there. It's you can find us very easily. We're very approachable, so hit us up. And so with that being said, this may be the end. We're here, but not for much longer. And although we may be parting ways, I miss you already, and I miss you always. For Randy and Buckley and MSG 2010 Night 2, one of the best shows that you'll ever listen to in your life.
Yes.
We thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Later.